All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Bill, and hello to everybody.
Here we go. Podcast number 408.
Mm-hmm.
And here is today's title. Let me fix my thing here. Here we go. To two creative real estate rookies who want to make a deal soon. Here's the description. Calling all ambitious creative real estate rookies. Are you stuck at the newbie stage and can't seem to get past it? Then this one is for you. Are you too often left wondering how savvy creative real estate entrepreneurs seem to pull off deal after deal, even in the craziest markets? Do you feel like you need to gain a serious edge on creative real estate so you can start snatching up deals that could change your financial future? Are you left in the dark? Excuse me. Or even curious what loopholes you need to know so you can do gargantuan deals consistently? So whether you're a starry-eyed rookie or a seasoned pro looking to spice things up, this episode is a must listen. And this jaw-dropping, simple information, we're peeling back those blinders so you can start snapping up profits like a kid in a candy store. This is your chance to gain an upper hand on the real estate game. Today's juicy topics you will never forget, much less ignore using them. Don't miss this opportunity to level up your creative real estate game and make some dough. Ta-da.
Okay.
So housekeeping. Let's get this out of the way. So we record this podcast every Thursday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, throughout the year, there's always some variation. I go on vacation or there's a holiday or something like that. But for the most part, we're here at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We live stream the recording on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So if you go to any one of those channels, type in Flipping Houses for Rookies. I would love to have you join us and ask questions during the podcast, as would Peter. And we will answer those questions as long as they're pertaining to the podcast. If they're not pertaining to the podcast, then I prefer you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and send us a support ticket from the link in the top right-hand corner, or join our WhatsApp messenger group called Let's Talk Real Estate. Also, make sure you subscribe to us, you like us, and leave us a review so that others can share your experience with us. And hopefully it's good. Mm-hmm. If it's not, send us a support ticket and we'll fix it. So there you go, Peter. How was that? Brief and blunt.
That's the correct message.
That's the correct message.
By the way, I've got thunder and lightning rolling in. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so in case anything goes haywire, that's why.
If we go dark, it's because you lost electricity or internet?
Because lightning struck the house. You know, that's why.
They said on the news this morning it wasn't supposed to be lightning, but Peter, if lightning strikes the house. Oh, yeah. Could you get any worse and more dramatic? Can you do a little bit better?
I'll work on it. I'll just throw it when you're not expecting it. How's that?
In case lightning hits the house and I'm burnt to a crisp and my computer is sizzling.
Yeah. I'll be in the news.
All right.
Go ahead.
Here we go. Calling all ambitious rookies who want to make a deal soon. Today, I'm going to hit on 3 points. A, why rookies don't make deals. B, some rookie mental barriers they don't know they have. And C, by the end of this, I'll have a mini checklist.
Cool.
That you can use from what we're going to talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the first thing I want to cover is why I have found most rookies have trouble making deals once talking to a seller. Now, I'm not talking about today about the preliminary stuff like trying to find leads, and we've covered that on other podcasts. Today is about you finally have a seller on the telephone, and why aren't you making a deal with them? Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And this is not just some Bill said it. This is from coaching many, many, many people, including being with you the other day. You and I spent 2 hours the other day going through our stuff to find out what's wrong and how we can improve it.
Yep.
We have a little checklist that we use to go through all. I asked you a bunch of questions. It was 2 or 2.5 hours of information that I was looking for that is pertinent to how our business runs. Plus I'm in my own coaching group, and then I have Creative REI Reply, which has a coaching group, and then I have another coaching group that I'm part of that I help someone coach often, biweekly, and we do a 2-day live event together. So I get a very good mix of feedback from different genres, different types of people. We're all doing the same thing, but it's different ages and classes of people around the country.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All around the country. Because the other coach guy is like Midwest, and the people are from all the entire country. So it's not just our backyard. So you're not getting a small scope of look at what's going on.
Right. So the things we're going to talk about today are not just theory or because I read some book or it always amazes me. Sometimes when I write these podcasts, I'm reading a book and it sparks some idea and I'll use that material. But days like yesterday, I mean, I had to go out yesterday and run some errands. While I was gone, I had a tenant in one of my apartments because I was gone for 8 months on a sabbatical. And they were without heat, and I was not able to respond like that morning. It was later that evening before I could respond because I just didn't have my phone, right? Well, she said she didn't do it, but she called the housing authority trying to get heat. So they went in, and I got whacked hard. I got a bunch of violations.
Oh.
And it's crap stuff, you know what I mean? It's nothing. The apartment is gorgeous. She keeps it clean. It's second floor, but like there's screens missing in a window, and
oh no, a screen missing?
Yeah, and there was
I'm in trouble in my house then. Crap.
Yeah. And stuff like that. Like there were light bulbs out, so anyways, I don't know why I'm telling you all this. I went over and dealt with that. I had my contractor go over, I met him there, my guy that does it. I came back and I just sat at my desk and I just sat down and I just wrote this podcast. My point in telling you that is probably about 80% of the podcasts come from my experience. So that's what this podcast is about, is 30 years worth of experience in evolution, because as you're aware, I'm constantly evolving. Markets change, technology change, sellers change, buyers change, money changes, everything changes. Nothing stays the same. And I like to pride myself on the fact that I try to be very observant, and I try to come out and I try to stay ahead of the curve if I can. And of course, I'm not perfect. Nobody is, but I try to do that. Right. So this podcast is coming from the heart. This podcast is my opinion of what rookies are doing from listening to them week after week. Right. And I don't just listen. I mean, in my coaching groups, I take notes because we have videos and I write summaries for the videos. So I take notes on all my stuff. So it's not just like, I just listened and it's what my memory retained. I have notebooks full of data, right? So I guess I'm just telling you this is that if you are a ambitious rookie who wants to make a deal soon, this is real, actual, present time information in today's economy that will help you.
Yeah.
So enough selling on me. Right. So I want to talk about these fundamental common mistakes being made from about 99% of all rookies. And sometimes you trigger it. you do things, even though you and I've been together 8 years. You're not exactly a rookie. You know what I mean? You play the part, but you've done deals and you know what you're doing, and you hold the fort for sure. But sometimes you trigger things, and then I go off and look at it because I'm thinking, well, if Peter's doing that, I wonder what the other ones are doing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were going over some of the, using a calculator and some of our scripts, the REI stuff, and I'm feeling like juggling a bit of all the tools we have. Like, wait a minute, I have so many tools. I feel like a juggler.
Right.
And then we were speaking to some of the other students, and I felt pretty smart after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I don't have my headset in. Am I sounding okay? I'm going straight into the laptop. Is it odd?
Yeah, you should put your headset in, because Emma gave me hell the other day for not doing that, because then you get feedback on your sound.
Okay. Yeah, I always do. Just didn't plug them in today. Okay, coming in. That's all.
All right. So that's it. I just wanted to have that preface in the beginning, that this is what. Let's just start. I'm done messing around. So let's just start. So here's the first thing. This is so subtle, you have no idea you're doing it, and I catch a lot doing this.
Well, that's the worst stuff. You don't know it.
Yeah.
What is it?
They're trying to convince the seller to do something. Right? Like, for example, don't sell for all cash. Instead, do a lease option or a subject to, and maybe seller financing. Now, there's nothing horrible with that. My philosophy is, in the beginning, when you first start, you don't have the experience to convert. The only way you're going to get the experience to convert, and I don't care how many videos, how many books, how many coaching calls you're in, until you make phone calls and get used to speaking to sellers, you will not get that experience. No video could teach you that. It's kind of like, how to bake a cake, or how to have sex, or how to drive. There's no way you can learn that until you do it.
Sure.
There's just no way you could do it.
No, press the brake pedal. Not too hard, not too soft. Sure. First time the new guy hits you, you almost go through the windshield, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to experience those things. So
you have to get experience. So, the common rule is you speak to 100 people, but you learn the first 5 people you learn something. Right. So I have taken the high road with this and have preached for many, many years now in many, many podcasts, is if you use our script, right, which you can get. I put links in the description, so you can go there and you could find it there, or in any one of our other podcasts. If it's not in this one, then find it in a different one. But the point is if you use the script is designed to in the first 5 minutes, weed out the suspects. And we talked about that a couple of weeks ago on a podcast. One of the best creative real estate closers that I know get rid of the jerks quickly. They get rid of the suspects. They get rid of the people that don't want to do it their way. And that's the success. And nowadays, especially in Creative REI Replay, we have robots that do that. AI that does that. It weeds out a lot of them. I mean, it's not going to be perfect because it's not human. And it's not, it's trained by me. It's got all my contents behind it. It's like I'm doing it for you. And I don't know any software that's doing it as good as we are right now. And soon to be released, we're going to have a robot that's going to be able to call people and talk to them as if it was me. So we're going to have that, somewhere down the road here, right?
Yeah.
So here's what happens. Because the scripts are not treated like a religious artifact, or bow down to like they are the end all be all, and they are the absolute stable datum. And if you're not doing deals, the script outness is the point that you should go after. Because we don't do that, because it is too easy to find another script somewhere else that matches your personality, which is bullshit. Okay, because your personality don't mean nothing in this deal, right?
Yeah.
Other than can you talk to somebody politely, right?
Yeah.
What happens is this: it causes the rookie to jump into the deep end of the pool right away. Right after my vast inspection on this, which I at first wasn't even planning on doing, it just fell in my lap. Right after my vast inspection on this, on why clients did not do or make a deal and cause a seller to ghost them, I find a rookie starts off with my tested and proven script. They get the first couple sentences, they start the conversation, and then the seller knocks them off the script. Most often intentionally.
Oh.
And the rookie decides the seller's ready for some sort of deal structuring because they knocked them off the script, because they're like trying to jump right into it. Well, what's your offer? Right? And proceeds to jump in the deep end of the pool and gives the seller a seminar on that summarized or interpretation from a brief summary that the seller just gave the rookie, and the rookie thinks it's real. Does this make sense?
So when you say the summary from the seller, you're just talking about what he wants in the deal, what he's looking for? Maybe you can explain that a little bit.
I want all cash.
Yeah.
Do you know what a terms deal is? Well, not really. Of course they want all cash because they don't know what a terms deal is.
Yeah.
So the rookie takes that I want all cash as gospel. That's really what he wants. Truth is, they don't know the difference.
Right. Nothing to compare it to because nobody talks about much else.
Right. Or they talk about it correctly so they can understand it. So they get the wrong idea of the offer. They form an opinion or a final thought in reaction to what is causing the seller to say or causing the seller to sell. They make quick because the seller is giving them this feedback. So this just occurred to me. I should have probably written this, but it just occurred to me.
Yeah.
The difference of what I'm teaching you right now or suggesting you take a look at is instead of being reactive, you should be proactive when talking to sellers, right? So here's what happens. You get on the phone, you finally get somebody on the phone, you start with the script, you ask the first couple questions. Is a house for sale? How much you're asking, right? And you say, well, the only way I could pay that amount, is in as-is condition without landlord obligations is to make monthly payments. Can we talk about that? And it goes awry from there.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what the mistake is, because now what happens is the rookie wings it. The rookie's now in the deep end of the swimming pool, and to recover, they're reacting now. To recover the conversation, they start throwing out bombshells called deal structures. Well, what if we did this? Or what if we did that? And there was no enlightenment process. I'm going to go over that in a minute. I'm jumping ahead. But just so you can understand where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah, because, the question is going to be, well, what do we do, Bill? But so are you saying that when the seller starts going down one road, we have to notice that and politely not go down that road, but kind of just steer it where we need to go, something like that.
So I'm gonna go through all this before we leave.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, but here's the point that I'm trying to make right now
Mm-hmm.
is because it happens too quick,
Mm-hmm.
and the rookie accepts what the seller's telling them as truth and gospel, not considering that they're actually trying to lie to them. And when I mean lie, because I say all sellers are liars.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because many sellers lie and don't even know they're lying because they don't know any different. They don't have data. They're making decisions that they really don't know what decisions they're making.
Yeah.
I want $400,000 for my $375,000 house. That's bullshit because if somebody came along and offered them $380,000, they probably would take it. They just lied.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Especially if it was 60 days into the sales process.
Right.
Right? So they're saying things that they're not aware of. Right?
Yeah.
Now, here's the point before I move on. The rookie thinks that they have this irritable thing that's causing the seller to sell.
A what thing?
Irritable?
Oh, irritable.
What does that mean?
Oh, like something is irritating the seller. There's something they're concerned about that they have to
It's
sell.
annoying. They don't want it anymore, right?
Yeah.
And they do too much too fast because they think they have the reason why. Well, I need the money to buy another house, and they take that as a reason. This is the reason why they're selling this house is they need the money from this house to go buy a new house. Instead of asking, well, why are you moving? What's wrong with this house? Why are you so hopped up on this new house? What about the new house are you really crazy about that you're willing to go through this rigorous, long-drawn legal process to get that thing in the new house? What is it? You see what I mean? It's not the money to go from this house to that house. There's something motivating them. It's never money.
Yeah, I see.
And rookies don't take that.
Will say something like that. They need the money for the next house. So you want to respond to that instead of like, well, wait a minute. When did you decide you wanted to sell this house? Oh, really? What happened?
Right,
oh, I see. But, it's going so fast. You're going down the river with these guys.
So before I say this next sentence, I want to make a clarification. Enlightenment is a specific word that I use. I've used it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's got other definitions, but it's usually meant in religion. Like there's a religious moment that will change you spiritually. Right? It's something that occurs either by information or by interaction, or it's like some like emotional like change. It's deep, in other words. It's not just like I have new information.
So it's life changing.
Sometimes, not always, but it's very profound to the person that's being enlightened.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so just realize, and I'm not trying to be religious here, although I could be very religious because I totally have that in my blood. But that's not what my point is here. So no enlightenment is done. Right? See, if it's a surface decision like just money, then it's squirmish. It doesn't stick. But if it's down deep like core, like, oh, I'm buying the new house because next door there's a drug dealer and I have a 10-year-old daughter.
Oh, geez.
And it's a good neighborhood, but the drug dealer moved in and the cops can't do anything about it. So we're buying the new house.
Wow.
To get away from a drug dealer. Right? Now it's a little dramatic, but now when you do the enlightenment, you're going to tap into those emotions because they're real. Right? You're going to talk to them with information that the seller needs to help their solution because you found the real reason why they're moving.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you're starting to give them some choices that the seller didn't think of because they didn't know.
Mm.
That will soften the irritation and the problem of why they're moving. Now, don't get me wrong. Every person selling a house does not have this irritating, emotional drug dealer living next door. Some of them are just plain old greed, which we talk about all the time, right? Need or greed. Need is something to do with the house. Greed is something to do with outside of the house, and they're trying to use the money from the house to get the deal done.
Mm-hmm.
So greed is a whole different situation. That's when we use our Grand Slam offer and we show them how they can make up to 70% more on the retail price of their house.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to recognize that fairly early as a need or greed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So instead of finding out what the rookie finding out what's really going on and really penetrating what the seller's thinking, they're working on their doingness. So that's how I started it. So there's 2 points that I want to get to here, right? And then we're going to move on. So one, I started the podcast off with saying that the rookies are trying to get the seller to do something different. And when you're not digging down emotionally deep enough, or you're not asking the right questions, or you're not following the script so I can ask the right questions through you, you're just trying to get the seller to do something that you want them to do, and they feel like you want them to do it.
Yeah.
And they don't really see why it's good for them.
That becomes a very short conversation.
Right. So, let me catch up with myself in my notes here. So I don't know where I put this, but I'll probably have to come back to it. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to change the seller's thinking about the deal.
Mm-hmm.
We're not trying to change their doingness. We're trying to change their thinking. So in other words, you ask the script questions as laid out, get the data, and don't skip this discovery step.
Mm-hmm.
And then you ask questions like, then you ask the seller if they ever heard of a lease option.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In other words, you're going to kind of back into, can we talk about it? What do you know about it?
Yeah.
Right? Then explain it on a 30,000 foot level.
Mm-hmm.
Without all the nitty gritty details. And this is the other problem that we find is that when rookies give offers, they go too far in the weeds. I'm going to give you a classic example. This is I always get raving reviews, any seminars, events, where there's people listening to me that will give me feedback. I get amazing reviews on this.
Mm-hmm.
Subject to, how do I explain a subject to a seller?
Right.
Here's what I do. I say, well, what I plan to do with your property is take it out of your name and put it into a trust, and then I plan on managing the trust, which means the deed will be in the trust that I manage, and the loan will stay in your name, which I manage through the trust. So the trust will be paying your loan every month. Now, is that a 30,000 foot view of a subject to deal?
Yeah, because you don't say the part that scares them, like, oh, the deed is going to be in my name. I'm taking the deed away from you. The part that scares them.
Right.
So you reworded that very correctly and kind of safely too. It's in a trust. So that sounds good. It's in a trust. You can trust a trust because it's a trust, right?
Yeah,
it sounds very safe because they don't feel safe. I got your deed. You got the loan. Oh, hell no. trust
A
fund.
lease option. If I want to do a lease option, I'll say to somebody, look, here's the deal. I specialize in helping people that normally couldn't buy a property get a property. We put them in the house for 3 years, 2 to 3 years. We get a chunk of dough from them, and we help them get qualified for a mortgage if they'll let us do that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm asking you to do is to lease to me, and I'll sublease to them until they can get through the process. And if you give me 15% worth of equity and 20% worth of cash flow, I'll stay in the deal and make sure it all happens.
I'm smiling, if you can't see me, because I talked to a guy yesterday, house the next town over, and it just went under contract. I've been trying to get in touch with him. In the meantime, it goes under contract. And I see it's 60 days on market, 66 days. So he says, yeah, this is the fourth one. I said, what? So what happened to the other ones? Oh, they didn't qualify. One guy lied, couldn't get the loan. All right, well, if this doesn't go through, I can buy it, call me back. But that's the perfect situation where if the person doesn't qualify, that's okay. We get them qualified.
Right.
All right. So anyways, that's interesting the way you put it and the way we actually control the situation to give it a better chance of working.
The point is, as I told them point blank, what I'm going to do, nothing diverts from that. Everything is going to match that comment.
Mm-hmm.
All the paperwork, all the documents, right?
Yeah, but you start that whole conversation with the positive part that we help people get into a home that normally can't buy one.
Right.
And we get them qualified, but we help people is the first thing that starts that sentence off.
Right.
So I've had people say, well, that's really nice of you guys.
That's right. So one of the things that you need to understand is a marketing law.
Mm-hmm.
The marketing law is you talk about benefits, not the features.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I have a wheelbarrow to sell you.
That's nice.
Right. So it's got special ball bearings, it's got special wood, and the steel is made out of this kind of steel, and it will never rust. And the tires got this special rubber, right? For the procrastinator that is a professional analysis creature, that's good. They're not going to buy it anyways because they're procrastinators, right? Or you could say something like this: I have a wheelbarrow to sell you that you're going to love because you make less trips to the compost pile because it's so deep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to push when it has 50 pounds worth of weight in it.
Because it has two wheels in front, not just one. Easy to
It's got a long handle, so it leverages so you don't feel like it's heavy.
Yep.
Right? So my next point is to just stick with the benefits for the seller.
Mm-hmm.
Get their agreement on how it will play out. See, this is the biggest thing that you need to do is figure out how it's going to play out. What I mean by play out is how is the closing going to go? How are they going to actually get rid of this house? How are they going to actually walk away like they want to?
And this is where you say, I'm going to do this, and you do that, and the buyer does this, and that's how it happens. So I've heard you say that many times, like, I'm going to do this, you do that, the buyer does that, and we're done.
Right.
So you paint that little picture in the guy's head.
Right.
He sees it. Oh, I can see that. Otherwise, they don't know.
So once you get their agreement how to play out, have them sign a memorandum. Now, the memorandum is completely not legal at all, but what the memorandum does is it clarifies it takes your verbal conversation and puts it into writing. So how much you spoke about, how much you discussed for price, how much you discussed for payments, right?
Yeah.
And how much you discussed for duration and down payment if they talked about it.
Yeah, when you say it's not legal, I mean it's like not binding. Like what you can send it to the guy, people can sign it, but nobody's on the hook. Don't get nervous about it.
You can't get sued for it.
Yeah. It's like an offer.
There it is. I was waiting for that. Excuse me.
Good job.
But what it does do is it makes them feel like they've made a deal with you.
Well, they certainly made a decision one way or the other.
By signing it, they're committed to you now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what the memorandum does, and I'm going to come back to all this stuff because there's some what I just skimmed over is very vital to a rookie. So I'm going to come back to it in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
What the memorandum does is the most important part of the transaction. And this is a huge beacon in a foggy world for a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
The memorandum triggers the deal. It's the tripwire of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which means prior to them signing a memorandum, you are not committed. You don't have to worry about what you say or do. Of course, you got to keep your word, right? You don't want to lie to them and then switch and bait them.
Mm-hmm.
But you do nothing until they sign that, because everything prior to the memorandum getting signed is just conversation, trying to figure out what the seller's willing to do or not willing to do. And when they put their name on their signature on a piece of paper, then you know their intention is well.
Yeah.
They're willing to do this. Now you go do your due diligence. Now you worry about the house and the price and the construction and the neighborhood, right? Too many rookies. As a matter of fact, 95% of all rookies kill the deal because they're arguing with the seller about the price before they get a memorandum signed. Like with you, one of the troubles I'm having with you is, well, I don't want to say yes if I know you're not going to buy the house. I mentioned, I don't do 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom houses.
Yeah.
So I had a 2-bed. So you're trying to second guess what house I would buy and what house I wouldn't buy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wrong thing to do. The thing to do is get a memorandum signed, trigger the due diligence, and then we figure out, do we want this? And if we don't, somebody will. We go wholesale it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The point is you're trying to do it too early. You jumped in the deep end of the pool and you're trying to figure out if we should buy this house. And you're trying to negotiate with that. No, everything up until the memorandum is all mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to change the seller's thinking on their choices of how they could sell this property. The doing this comes after the memorandum.
Mm-hmm.
So you got them backwards. It's like you got the cart before the horse. The thinking and the mindset is all the way up to the memorandum, and then the doing this is after.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The rookie, first of all, will think if they would not. So that you got that.
Yeah. The thing that I took away from that, and take this in general, everybody. If you're signing a purchase and sales to get the deed on something that you have to renovate for $40,000 or $80,000 that you might not sell, that you got to be careful of. But we're talking way up front that if it's an option.
No, you're wrong.
What's that?
You sign the purchase and sales contract.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what they're willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then you do your due diligence.
Right.
And if it's not worth the money, then you back out of the purchase and sales contract.
Right. You can even do it that point too. My point is that you don't get the property and then go, oh, I shouldn't have bought it because it only has 2 bedrooms. There's plenty of times not that you can get out.
You can
or just a lease option. If we don't lease option, if they you'll walk away. Maybe somebody wants a sub. We're not moving in, but point is we're not moving in. We're not buying it this second. Then gee, you can't sell it now. It's a long runway before you wind up with something that could be a problem. So.
All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about some of the barriers, because I told you. So basically, we've been talking about the first one, which is why rookies don't make deals. And it's most of the podcast because it's when rookies are trying to get the seller to do something instead of working on their thinking, like their ideas of how it's going to work. Mm-hmm. And then once they get a document signed, whether it be a memorandum, an option, or a purchase and sales agreement, right? Then you go change their doing this. Yeah. And how you play follow the leader. Which, by the way, this is real simple in Creative REI Reply because I put checklist in there, and it makes you look like you're a brilliant investor, because no matter what type of one of my 7 deals you do, there's a checklist, and you print the checklist or you look at it on your computer, and you tell the seller, here's the next 3 things that we're going to do.
Mm.
And you always know what to do because I walk you step by step through each type of those deals. So you know exactly how to do them. I'm very detailed on those checklists. They are an amazing tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about some of the barriers now, because the next thing we need to talk about is some rookie mental barriers.
Okay.
Right. So number 1, which is about 95. So now let's move into some rookie barriers that kill almost 95% of all deals.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 on the list. The rookie, first of all, will think if they would not do the deal this way, neither would the seller.
Oh, yeah.
This is wrong. Follow the seller's intention. Let them tell you what they want. This comes back to, this triggers you telling me, I don't know if I should buy a 2-family house. I'm sorry, a 2-bedroom house, 1 bathroom. Because I don't know if you want to buy it. And you're thinking of that at the wrong time of the conversation. You should be thinking about, what is this seller telling me? And are they motivated? And what is their irritation or their ruin or their problem? You shouldn't be thinking about, do I want this property or not?
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be thinking about that. It's too soon. It's premature.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing that, right? So Jim Camp calls this, Jim Camp wrote the book No, which is a great sales book if you want to learn how to improve sales, right? Calls this a blank slate.
Mm.
You do not infect the offer or deal with what you would do if you were the seller. You don't infect the deal with your concerns yet. There is a time to do it, but not now. You're not in their shoes, dealing with their emotions in the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Sure.
Don't inject things from your perspective until it's time.
Mm-hmm.
Next barrier. Rookies ask questions thinking the question makes them look confident and somehow makes them look like they're in control and they know what they're doing and they look like a pro. So all too many rookies spend way too much time. I mean, sometimes a decade. I've met rookies that have been studying real estate for 10, sometimes 20 years because they want to get on the phone. They want to have all the answers to all the questions for a 15-minute conversation. So they ask me things like, what if the roof is 40 years old, Bill? What do you say? Because they want to have every little detailed little thing answered because they're worried about the questions to ask. Problem with this is the questions are just there to gather the situation the seller's in present time. Realize this, the problem is in present time. The problem for the seller is right now. The pressure is right now, present time. So the guy could be like a multi-billionaire and have lost it all to his wife, and now he's broke in present time. And I preached this over the years, the decades, like this. Time changes everything. What I didn't realize is as I was skipping over the most important part, time changes everything, but what is everything right now?
Oh, yeah.
The question is not what the rookie should pay attention to. It's the answers. Because the answers are the paint by number way to do it. Right? Most rookies miss the answers because they are thinking about what to say next, right? Which means the rookie did not hear the seller tell them how they can buy the house, because the seller will tell them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
They're not listening to the situation.
When I talk to people, you just made me think of this. Okay, picture this. You're talking to somebody. They've got stuff in their mind already that's bugging them. It's right there. They want to tell somebody. They need to tell somebody. Nobody's listening. No one's helping. So your questions aren't even that horribly important if you just ask a few anythings. Just start talking. People spill things out to me, and I probably don't take enough advantage of them.
You know? They're telling you how to buy their house.
Yeah, and it's not that hard. They're not holding back. You know, they need somebody to know this. So if your questions are anywhere close, they'll spill it for you if you're listening.
Okay, so the next barrier, which carries on this conversation that you're having, along the line of questions, is the seller will answer you with no answers.
Yeah.
And the rookie accepts the no answers. Let me give you an example.
Yeah, we know what that is, but tell us.
Is the house for sale?
Mm-hmm.
Seller says, for the right price.
Mm-hmm.
Did they answer the question?
Not really. It's
the seller didn't answer the question, because what you want to know is, yes, it's for sale, or no, it's not. Right? So what do you do about it? Well, first of all, that seller they parked you at effect. You're no longer cause in this conversation. You're no longer running this conversation. They are. Which means they're going to not give you information that you really need. They're going to give you information they think they can use to control the sale. So right off the bat, they're lying to you, because all sellers are liars. Right? Well, this is a mistake that is made by so many rookies. Let's just do this. Instead of me explaining it, let's do it, and then I'll explain it. You give the answer if the price is right.
Okay, go ahead.
Peter, is your house for sale?
Well, for the right price, it is.
Oh, I get it. So, is the house for sale?
I'm thinking about it.
Okay. So the house isn't for sale then. Is it for sale or not?
Well, yeah, it is. Sure.
This is what the rookie does not do. I had to ask the question 3 times to get a solid, good answer. Now, this is way profound. This is actually coaching material that I should not be doing on a podcast, but I decided that nobody talks about this. This is what's going to make you deals. If you do not penetrate the social veneer of your seller, you will never find out the real why and be able to help them. Right?
Yeah.
So here's what tends to happen with rookies is you'll say, well, for the right price. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. I'll do it the wrong way now. So, Pete, is your house for sale?
Well, for the right price, it is.
Oh, so what's the right price?
Oh, I want $600,000.
All right. And $600,000. Would you consider taking payments on that?
No, I don't want payments. I want my money for my house.
Okay. So how did you come up with the 600,000?
Well, I checked out some of the comps in the neighborhood, and then my house is better than the other one, so I added 100,000 because that's what I want.
Okay. So end of role play. So what just happened?
Got bulldozed.
The rookie doesn't even know that this conversation that we just had is completely wrong. They just wasted several minutes of their life with a complete, absolute, disguised, covert suspect.
Mm-hmm.
That information that you just gave me was absolutely irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
He's fishing and wishing that he gets a big bite.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He's not motivated.
And rookies will take that as, oh, he's motivated.
He's motivated to be a big, greasy pig.
See, here's the thing is motivation to us means they're willing to be flexible and talk to us about our different choices. Every seller is motivated. All sellers are motivated to sell their house.
Yeah,
He's motivated your situation. He's motivated to get his extra $100,000. He's motivated to trick you so that you pay him an extra $100,000, not realizing that probably that you're not going to have that money in your checkbook. More than likely, some do, but not most. And that you're going to have to get advice from a bank and an insurance company and all the people that are going to cover the money, and that they're going to say, "Why are you buying this house for $100,000 over?" He's an idiot, this seller. He doesn't think of where the money's coming from.
Mm-hmm. It's more like, if you bribe me, I'll sell it.
Right?
Yeah.
So here's what happens. When I asked you those questions and you gave me those answers and I allowed you to give me a no answer, I missed all of your human emotion and reaction.
Yep.
That is going to tell me the real problem. There was no human emotion reaction. That is a thing to look for in your communication cycles. Did they get a little bit emotional, and was their reactions appropriate? Is this making sense?
Yeah. So would you suggest that in general, I'm being a little bit vague here, but in general, you need to kind of wonder why they're doing things and ask questions to find out what they're really thinking? Is
Yeah.
that's
And the script covers that. The script covers that.
Okay.
Chris says, good stuff, Bill. You bet, Chris. That's why we're here. All right, we're going to move on because we only have 8 more minutes and we're not going to finish in 8 minutes. So the last barrier I have for today is data or information.
Yeah.
When you don't follow the script, like we just did a minute ago, you don't get the permanent data that will allow you to structure a deal. I'll give that to you again. I said permanent. It's pertinent.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get the pertinent data. In other words, the exact data you need to structure a deal. So a lot of rookies will tell me, "Oh my God, Bill, I used to do phone calls for that. My coaching client. Oh my God, I got this motivated seller. I get on the phone with them. I'm on the phone with them 3 minutes doing the pre-qualifying, and I hang up. And the coaching client's like, what happened? I said, they're not motivated. They want to make an extra $100,000 on the property, and they want me to pay it, and that ain't going to happen. So if you don't follow the script and then ask the questions until you get an answer, in other words, on the script, you need to make sure each question gets answered. Is the house for sale? Yes or no? What's the price of the house? And get a number. Doesn't matter that it's $50,000 over the asking price. We don't care about that yet. We're not in the due diligence process. If you want, you can say, is that the best you can do? If I don't buy your house, how much would you offer the next guy? Anything like that. Right? So here's what happens with rookies. They feel like all the information or data is important. I know because when my coaching clients come to me and they're telling me about a deal, they drone on about the 2-family and the new rugs, and they just put a new roof on, and the neighborhood and the guy next door, and the moon's in the right direction. And oh my God, this is the perfect house. And never talk about the seller's willingness to sell the house. because
Mhm.
they're trying to get them to do something and not try to give them choices to think with. They're doing it backwards.
Mhm.
So not all information is important. There's always senior data and non-senior data. And I have this in my head a little bit funky. Now, this is a billism, so you don't have to take this.
Mm.
But picture a triangle.
Uh-huh.
At the very top of the triangle with the point at the top, the single point at the top,
Mhm.
the very first datum in that triangle holds the whole triangle together. So everything is related to that most senior data.
Right.
I call it the Q.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but that's just what we call it, right? So the Q is the most senior data that holds all the information in that triangle together.
Mhm.
As you go down the triangle and you get fatter and fatter because the triangle gets wider and wider,
Mhm.
the data is less and less more important.
Right. You have layers of data.
So what you want is you want to get the data or the information that is most pertinent to the deal structuring.
Mhm.
Often it's the math. Now you and I created probably about 2 or 3 podcasts ago, or maybe a little bit more, the 2 things you need to have when you're making an offer.
Mhm.
Remember what they are?
I'll try this. First, you want to have the emotional desire of the person.
Yeah.
And then you want to have the math of the deal too
The
to make sure
correct
it
math.
works.
The correct
Yeah.
math. And that's
Yeah.
100% correct.
Yeah.
So you want the emotional desire. So these are the senior datums that you want.
Yeah. I look at it really simply. When the guy's trying to explain about the rugs and and the nice color paint, I'm not moving in. I don't care. I'm not living there. That's think of it that way. You're not moving in. Somebody
It's okay to have the seller tell you all this stuff, but you got to realize
Yeah.
that that's not important information. You don't write it down.
Yeah, you're not moving
Right?
in. Somebody
So
who has lived there, somebody will live there.
so what has to happen is you need to know what's important and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're going to move on because we only got 3 minutes and we're going to be a little bit longer than that. So now let me show you how this little checklist of what you should do and everything before you do any thinking about this work at all. And it's going to explain what I just told you about with the data.
Okay.
Okay. So number 1, get the asking or agreed price. This is the first piece of senior data that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let me see here. Okay. Note that this price is not what you're gonna. It's not always what you're gonna pay for the property.
Okay. You're not stuck with it.
You've agreed that you're not stuck with it. You've agreed to it, and it's on the memorandum. But until you get to the due diligence part or the deal meeting, which is done after the memorandum or the documents are signed, you're not fully committed. You don't have a gun to your head on that price.
Yeah.
Okay. In an apartment building business, it's called retrading.
Mm-hmm.
But in the apartment building business, you get all the data up front. So it's a bad thing to retrade.
Mm.
But in residential houses, it's a common thing because you haven't even looked at the house yet. You're making a deal with the seller. You're not even looked at the house yet.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing. So just realize that just go with the flow because it's too easy to change the price after you do your due diligence.
And it's so easy to lose a deal up front if you start disagreeing.
Yeah. Number 2, another senior datum is get the monthly payments. Now, this is a misunderstood in my system for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? Because on a terms deal like we're talking about, it's common. Right? We talk about it all the time. Let's do a terms deal. The way you get the monthly payment is say, Peter, how much you paying for your house now? Go ahead and answer me.
$1,500.
Okay, I'll pay the $1,500. Okay, and 99% of the people will say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if they don't, then you say how much do you want to make a month, and you negotiate.
Yeah.
But here's the part that's missed. That's common. So you need to know how much you're paying. But here's the part that most people miss because they think that these 4 parts are just for creative real estate deals, and they are not.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose you're buying a rehab,
Yeah.
right? And you're borrowing hard money or private money.
Mm.
Don't you need to know how much your monthly payments are? Because isn't that going to be part of your strategy to pay those payments for the 6 months or 8 months it takes you to renovate and sell?
Oh, hell yeah.
You need to know how you're going to keep this property with the monthly payments. It's important,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Though that's a senior datum. That's something you have to know.
Yeah. You're
You
paying
know,
everything:
and
electricity, the heat, the
and
gas.
let me tell you something that it took me a decade or two to learn. If you
Yeah.
think that you're going to renovate the house and sell it in 6 months, you should double it.
Mm.
And plan on paying for 12 months. And if you beat it, yay for you. But at least put it in your budget.
Yep.
Okay. Which brings us to number 3. Another senior datum is the duration of those monthly payments.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This predicts or let you know how you can sell the property. Now, so many people worry about how they're going to sell. Well, 99.9% of my properties I sell on a rent to own, or at least with an option.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the duration of those payments and when the seller wants to be paid off, the duration means when do you want to be paid off?
Right.
That's what duration means. It means how long can I go before I have to pay you off? So if I have a seller that tells me they will only do a terms deal for a year, what do I say?
It's not long enough. Or
or
you
they got
have
to
to.
give me a discount and I'm going to go sell it
Yeah.
on just an option and I'm just going to get them cash.
Yeah.
Then the duration's long because I have a whole year to find a buyer.
Oh,
If I'm
yeah.
going to sign an option agreement and just sell it on the market and make $5,000 or $10,000 for just selling it to a buyer, then the duration's long because I have a whole year.
Yeah. So for
Why are you
that, it's
looking at me
long
like
enough. Well, I mean, 1 year is short, but it's long for an option sale. Is that what you mean?
That's what my point is. When you have the duration helps you pick which deal you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to make the point. If the guy says, "Oh, I don't care when you pay me off," I could wait 10 years. Well, there you go. Now you have a lease with an option, and you could put people in there for 5 years at a time and set it and forget it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the duration is important for your selling strategy.
Right.
So that's why we do it, is so we know how we can deal with the property once we get it. So this is what we call a senior datum.
Mm-hmm.
This is the important information we need to think with.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, number 4, is the down payment if they ask for it. Now, this is missed a lot. You'll probably need a private lender. And if you do, need to add the monthly payment for the private lender for the down payment amount of money to your payments.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody says, everything works fine, Bill. I'll let you do subject to, I'll let you do this, I'll let you do that. It's 80% of loan to value ratio. Everything's perfect, except they have to have 20 grand for down payment.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they won't do the deal.
And the numbers,
every way but right and left. I've gone everywhere with this deal, and the only way I could do this deal is get 20 grand.
Yeah.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 20 grand, I'm going to put it in my calculator, and I'm going to multiply it by 9%. Let me do it. 20,000 times 9% means I got to pay $1,800 a year, right? Divided by 12 is $150 a month. So my point in this conversation that gets missed a lot is, do you have enough room in your monthly payment to handle the mortgage and the private lender for the down payment amount and you? And not enough people think of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or you could do, which is standard for us, is we tell the seller that one of my profit centers is the amount of money I have to pay you after I collect it from my buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to give you more than 50% of what the buyer gives me. And by the way, most buyers give me between 3 and 5% down. If you want more than that, if they want, like, suppose it's a $200,000 house and they want 10% down.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen now? I will tell the seller, I don't think I can do that. Because I don't, it's not average. I would get 10% down. Most sellers will give me 3 to 5% down. So in that particular case, maybe instead of signing an agreement for 30 days to go buy my buyer, I might need 90 or 180 days because they're asking too much. Right?
But
See,
you can still try it because you might find that guy.
Right.
And if not, I mean, again, there's no reason to say no up front. Says, well, let me see if I can, because you might find that person.
Do you see why this is considered a senior datum?
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to make you think about how the deal's going to turn out and how you're going to protect everyone. Okay.
Well, I like how you juggle the points too. Like if the numbers are a little tight, a little skinny on the profits, you ask for more time because you get more money over time to make it worthwhile.
Right.
Or if the guy wants too much down payment, well, I need more time to see if I can find that person. But you use the factors to adjust with each other.
So not all data is equal. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Let me catch. Then once you get all that done, this is the checklist. Once you get all that done, you get those 4 points, right? Price, payment, duration, and deposit. I've talked about it. Down payment money. Now, this is the checklist of data. You're checking the data that you need to make a deal structure. This is the correct information you need to make a deal. And if you're not thinking with this when you're on the phone with the seller, you're screwed. Okay? Now comes the most mightiest of all mightiest formulas.
Okay.
That we probably consider to be too simple and not enough do it. But I tell you, my life changed when I did this. I'll tell you the reason why is because when I first started doing this, I was helping a coaching client and I didn't know what to tell them. So I asked them this. What's the money now? What's the money monthly? What's the money later? And it taught me the most valuable lesson ever because it actually showed me that the deal was good. I thought it was bad.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to rattle through these in the next couple of minutes because I know we're 7 minutes after. But money now is your deposit money from your seller. I'm sorry, from your buyer. Right? These are chunks of dough that you can pay down debt with, buy cars with, go on vacation. These are the chunks of dough that everybody dreams about. Money monthly is the difference between what you have to pay for the property monthly and what you collect for the property monthly. Right? This is fire your boss money. Right? Here is where you get freedom. Because if you get enough deals and they can replace your income, you're now, instead of working 40 hours a week, you're working 2 hours a week, if that. Right? Or less, or say 10 hours a week, whatever it is, right? You work hard once to get a deal. This is the part the rookies don't think about. So it took you 2 years to get a deal, but that deal pays you $1,000 a month.
Yep.
For years. You work hard once and it continues to keep going. That doesn't mean it keeps going passively where you don't have to work. You have to work, but it's a lot less than a 40-hour week job.
Sure.
Right? Then you have money later. This is, by the way, if you go back on money monthly and how to retire early, if you go back to podcast number 401, that covers that whole, we went through the whole topic on how you retire early and use your money monthly to do that.
Yeah.
It's an hour podcast. Go check it out. It's podcast number 401. Money later is equity or your profit in the deal. Here's your retirement nest egg. Because what most don't think about is portfolios are magic. And I'll tell you the reason why portfolios are magic. Portfolio means multiple properties. Because every single time you get paid from your tenant buyer or your lease option buyer, you're paying down your mortgage. And then one day, right, you wake up and it's all paid for. Right? Okay, so does that make sense? So all of a sudden, one day you wake up and you're like worth $3 million and you own it all.
Yep.
Because you just every month you set your life up, and time went by, and we all know how fast time goes by the older we get, right?
What are you saying, Bill?
The last point that I want to make is, and I know I'm covering way too much in this podcast. I had almost thought about doing 2 podcasts, but I think you're still here listening. I hope you like this, right? My final point is this little checklist I just gave you must be done this way. Start, change, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Start means you find the deal and you're working it. And then change means you work it, and then it stops by you getting the deal.
Mm.
Too many rookies think they have deals that are in the change method.
Mm.
They're working on it. They're mental masturbation deals. They're mind deals. They're playing with themselves in their own mind. I know that's crude, but they're not real deals because they didn't do the stuff we talked about today, especially with the senior datums in the information. They're playing with bad information, thinking they have a deal, and they'll work on it for 6, and they won't look for other deals because they're planning on getting this deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they get too many no answers from the seller and get stuck in a perpetual or continuous change because they're taking the wrong information from the seller, the no answers, and the seller stringing them along.
So it's like they never really started, isn't it?
Right. And this is the biggest loss for rookies because eventually they give up or the seller ghosts them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a loss. So the seller, the rookie worked on this for 2 months, thinking they have a deal when they didn't, and then all of a sudden it's like they get kicked off of the 1,000-foot cliff, and they take that as a loss, and then they flounder around in their loss and their human emotion and reaction and all their crap, and then about 2 months from now they poke up and say, okay, I'll try it again. And then 10 years later, they're telling me, well, I've been studying real estate for 10 years. Creative real estate is made to do, not learn. And if you use some of the documents we're talking about, it's no risk, and you'll find that you can just practice doing it. I mean, doctors do it. They have a practice. An attorney has a practice. And they're doing it on your lives. Okay, Peter, I went way over today. It's 12 minutes past. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure you subscribe to wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Make sure you like us, leave a comment. If you have any questions, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. If you want to be part of our little mastermind group with 100 and something people in there, go to WhatsApp Messenger and look for Let's Talk Real Estate, or send us a support ticket at flippinghousesforrookies.com, and we'll send you a link. Okay? We're over and out. I hope this helped all of our rookies that are looking for they want to make a deal soon. I hope this helped you. I know it was a little profound. You're probably looking for some gadgets, but that gadget's at creativereireplay.com. Go over there and look at the videos. We have new videos on that website so you can see what that product actually does. And all the stuff we're doing today will work for you because we'll find the deals for you. We'll make appointments for you. And we'll weed out all the suspects and all that kind of stuff for you. So go check it out at creativereireplay.com. Have a good week. We'll talk to you on podcast number 409. Whew. Over and out.